Hello, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this virtual open house and question and answer session. We will get started here in a few minutes. I was going to give it a couple of minutes while people still are joining. This is the Flathead River Perma Bridge project online open house. So we'll be silent here for about a minute or so as attendees pull in, and then we will begin the presentation and question and answer session. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Brandon Coates. I'm with RBCI, and I want to welcome you for joining us for today's meeting. During this online meeting, MDT and the project team members are going to provide an overview of the project and talk about the planned construction activities for the Flathead River Perma Bridge. Following the presentation, we'll have a live question and answer session where we'll answer questions that you might have. In order to participate in that, you can find the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and click on that button. It should pop up a chat box that you can type in any questions at any time. And we'll hold all questions and answer them at the end of the session. So the online session is being recorded, and we'll provide a copy of this recording on the project website. So if you have friends or family or neighbors that you feel that should hear this information, you can direct them to the website and they can watch a recording. There'll also be the display boards that we're presenting today will be on that website, and a way to provide comments. The website address will show at the end of the presentation as well. So, and now I'm going to go ahead and turn the microphone over to Daryl Williams from MDT Missoula District. Daryl?
Thank you, Brandon. Good evening, everybody. Like Brandon said, my name is Daryl Williams. I'm the District Construction Operations Engineer for MDT in the Missoula District, and I will be assisting our project manager, John Benda, who is also on the call tonight with contract administration for this project. MDT's mission is to serve the public by providing a transportation system and service that emphasize quality, safety, cost effectiveness, economic vitality, and sensitivity to the environment. MDT also maintains a staff with the resources and technical expertise needed to perform the workload for the majority of state transportation projects. However, when MDT does not have the resources or technical expertise in-house, we often hire consultants for specific project work. Consultants are just an extension of our MDT staff capable of providing additional skills, experience, expertise, and quality work without increasing our in-house staff here at MDT. They are managed by MDT Consultant Design Bureau in Helena and work together with the MDT project team and management to help us deliver the project. This just happens to be the case on this project, as MDT has selected a design build team consisting of Morrison Merrily, Frontier West, and RBCI. Morrison Merrily will be the designer, Frontier West is the contractor, and RBCI is here to help out with public relations. I would now like to introduce the rest of the team and introduce them. If they could say who they work for and turn their camera on, that would be great. I will start out here if I can. There we go. Once again, I'm Daryl Williams, construction operations engineer for the Missoula district. And next up, I would like to introduce Beth Kappas.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Beth Kappas. I work with Morrison & Merrily and am one of the design engineers on this project.
Thank you, Beth. Chris Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Anderson. I'm the project manager for Frontier West on this project.
Thank you, Chris. John Benda.
Yeah, hi, everybody. This is John Benda. I happen to be an engineering project manager with MDT in the Missoula district. And I have a small crew of 7 or 8 people that will administer and inspect the construction work on the bridge. Glad you joined us this evening.
Thank you, John. Tyler Manning.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm with RBCI. We are the public involvement on this project, and I will be running the Q&A for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Tyler. Brandon Coates.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Coates with RBCI. As Tyler stated, we're doing the public involvement and public outreach for this project. So we're the main communication part of the project. So first communication, and if you have questions or any information that you need, we're able to get that from the project team. We'll be passing along updates and information about construction as the project moves along as well. So thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We could get the next slide, please. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'd just like to take just a few minutes and talk about MDT's Bridge Bureau and the services they provide. The MDT Bridge Bureau is tasked with keeping Montana bridges safe, resilient, economical, and reliable. The Bridge Bureau is organized into 2 sections: the Bridge Management section and the Bridge Design section. MDT's Bridge Management section will provide condition inspection and load rating evaluation for over 4,500 public bridges in the state. These include counties and city-owned bridges. The Bridge Management section also evaluates and analyzes overweight permit loads and performs bridge maintenance and on state-owned bridges. Now, the MDT Bridge Design section provides design and engineering management on bridge replacement, rehabilitation, and preservation projects. The Bridge Design section will also establish and maintain design criteria and standards. They'll participate in research projects and also promote design initiatives to improve bridge performance and value. So with the next part of our presentation to talk a little bit more about the project, I'm going to turn it over to MDT's engineering project manager, John Benda. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Daryl. So MDT is rehabilitating the bridge that carries secondary Highway 382 traffic over the Flathead River near Perma. The bridge is a 5-span, 653-foot-long bridge. The bridge was originally constructed in the early 1960s and needs repairs. Beth Kappas will get into the specifics of those repairs that will be completed on the bridge after myself. The amount of wear and tear on the bridge is normal for its age. The bridge is currently safe to drive on. MBT is completing similar bridge rehabilitation projects around the state that have similar aging issues. This project will extend the service lives of the bridge. Next slide. MDT has partnered with Frontier West and Morrison Merrily to evaluate and develop plans for the needed repairs and construct the improvements that will extend the life of the bridge. The project is being delivered through a method called design build delivery. This delivery method allows the design engineer and the construction contractor to collaborate on the design and construction. MDT often uses this process to expedite the development and construction of a project. This project was also a good fit for design build because the collaboration between design and construction staff promotes innovative methods for the repairs. The Frontier West Morrison Merrily team was selected in March of 2023 through a competitive best value selection. The team hit the ground running immediately after award with design development activities. Some of those design development activities include field evaluations, alternative analysis, plan submittals and reviews, environmental documentation, and coordination with local agencies. This week, we are in the final stage of the design process and completing construction plans and documents. As we turn the corner from design to construction, a handful of construction activities can be seen occurring in 2023 and 2024. The current schedule suggests that construction could begin as early as July 24th at the end of this month at the Perma location. Chris Anderson will be elaborating more on the construction schedule later in this presentation. Next slide. MDT will communicate and coordinate with local officials from Sanders County and the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes to ensure critical services will continue in the project area throughout construction. The project team will meet the emergency responders, will meet with emergency responders to ensure that any potential emergencies in the project area could be responded to in a safe and timely manner. So I'm going to turn over the microphone now to Beth Capus from Morrison Merrily to tell you more about the development of the project.
Thanks, John. So this slide provides an overview of some of the planned improvements associated with this bridge rehab project. Kind of first and foremost, we will be replacing some underperforming bridge bearings that are out there and then also performing some girder repairs. And this is really the immediate need that spurred this project. So that's the thing we're really focused on as far as, you know, some of our goals here with this project. Aside from those needed repairs, there are a number of other rehab work items associated with this project. We'll be also painting portions of the steel superstructure that are out there, and that's primarily focused at inhibiting and sort of mitigating any rust and corrosion that's happening out there. So this is a steel structure. It was originally painted, and that coating just deteriorates over time, and rust can form on the bridge, which is not good for the structure. So we'll be refreshing the paint in certain locations that are more susceptible to corrosion. So you'll see that going on. We'll also be refreshing the surface of the deck or the surface of the bridge where we drive on that concrete deck. We'll be milling off a small portion of the existing concrete and replacing that with a new concrete overlay. We'll also be paving the roadway approach on both of the bridge ends. And then really common with bridge improvement projects will be replacing the rail across the bridge and then also the approach rail that runs along the roadway and ties into the bridge rail. So again, we'll be bringing those up to, you know, closer to modern standards and providing a safety improvement there. And then also, you know, while this project is mainly aimed at bridge rehabilitation efforts, we're including some safety improvements for the intersection of 382 with Highway 200. So you'll see transverse rumble strips going in the driving lane for travelers approaching that Highway 200 intersection from 382. And we'll also be providing signage that provides advance warning to drivers of that upcoming stop. And again, the intention of those features is really just to notify drivers of that upcoming intersection and need to stop. So that's kind of a high level overview of some of the improvements. And then I think some of our subsequent slides get into a little bit more detail on a few of the major work items. So this picture provides kind of just a snapshot of what a hydro milling operation generally looks at like. And so hydro milling is the demolition method that we will be using to remove a small amount of the existing concrete deck prior to placing that new overlay concrete on the bridge deck driving surface. So hydro milling is kind of unique in the sense that we essentially use really high pressure water to erode away that top layer of concrete. And this helps us get rid of any unsound concrete that might be at the top of the deck there that can just deteriorate over time. And then it also creates like a roughened surface that helps let that new overlay concrete adhere and like stick to that existing bridge deck. And there are other methods for performing this like select demolition, but hydro demolition is a real benefit to the bridge because it allows us to remove that concrete without damaging the existing reinforcing that's embedded in the concrete deck that we want to keep. So, you know, a mechanical means of removal could damage that steel. So you'll see work like this going on out there over the next few weeks, and that'll definitely provide a big improvement to the ride of the structure. And then circling back to that girder repair topic, so MDT regularly performs inspections of all their bridges, and through that regular inspection effort, some defects in the steel girders that are out there were identified. And so the steel girders are sort of the big beams that support that concrete deck that we drive on and are, you know, the primary load carrying members of the bridge. And so what we're looking at here is the bottom of one of those beams where it kind of sits on top of the support piers. And essentially, what we're looking at here is a buckle that has formed in the bottom of that web. And then there's also a crack that's formed along the bottom of the web, kind of severing that bottom flange into two pieces. And so obviously this type of damage is of concern. It's not a like structural issue for the bridge yet, but if we don't get in there and repair this, this could definitely work itself into a larger issue. So again, our goal is to restore the capacity of this girder at the girder end and just kind of repair this damage that we're seeing. And then I think the next slide kind of provides an overview of what's causing this. I think you see some damage like that, and it begs the question, like, why is this happening? So kind of maybe a lesser known fact about bridges is that they move and are designed to move. So the bridge bearings are a feature of a bridge that can accommodate that necessary movement. And there's actually a number of different things you'll see in bridges that can accommodate movement. Bearings are one of those major movement accommodating features. So in this photo, the bearings are like those large pinned devices that are made up of steel. And essentially what these do is allow the bridge to move by rotating and translating. And so it rotates about that solid steel pin in the middle. And then it's like that backside bearing has a rocker plate below that allows for that translation. And so if we can accommodate this type of movement in the bridge, it really reduces the amount of stresses that bridge is seeing. So it's really beneficial to be able to accommodate that necessary movement. And in this particular structure, the main movement that we're trying to accommodate is really just thermal shrinkage and expansion. So just as the ambient temperature in the air changes, the materials that this bridge is made out of want to expand and contract. And when you're talking about big, long spans, that type of thing adds up quick, and it actually is a sizable amount of movement. So once that movement can no longer be accommodated, we just start to see the bridge relieve those stresses in other ways, and that's resulting in that girder and damage. So these bearings are constructed all of steel, and just over time, they corrode and dirt builds up, and they just freeze up and stop performing. So that's really what we're seeing here. And so in order to remedy that issue, we plan to replace these bearings with new modern bridge bearing devices, which essentially are a lot like a big rubber pad, basically. And the bridge movement is then accommodated by deformations in that rubber pad. So big squishy pad is going to help this bridge out a lot. And that bearing type, that modern bearing type that uses, different materials and a different mechanism for movement is just so much more durable and resilient when it comes to kind of the elements. So we expect that new device to perform much better in the long term. And it's kind of tricky to get these new bearings in place. We'll be placing jacks, basically a lot like, you picture a jack when you want to change a tire on your car. It's a lot like that, except much bigger. And that'll sit in next to the existing bearing, and we're going to jack the entire bridge up off the bearings that it currently sits on. We'll pull those out, complete our girder repairs, and then place the new bearings in and set the bridge back down. And so this is the construction operation that's really requiring the roadway closure. And Chris is going to talk a little bit more in about what that looks like and when that's coming. But I think, as you can guess, eliminating the live load and that vehicle load from the bridge greatly improves the feasibility and safety of completing that jacking operation. Next slide. So as with any transportation project, MDT and the project team go through a fairly rigorous process to assess the environmental considerations and constraints that are specific to the project. And NEPA and MEPA are definitely the guiding regulations in this environmental assessment, and there are a number of things that are considered. A couple of highlights related to this project. Migratory birds are definitely a factor. So essentially, we would really want to minimize our impacts to those animals. And so you might have seen members of our construction team out on site already clearing nests from the bridge. And really, by deterring migratory birds from nesting on the bridge this season, it encouraging them to nest elsewhere, it really limits their risk that they'll be impacted by this construction effort. So that's definitely an ongoing effort and continual effort. Bull trout are also a threatened species that are native to the Flathead River. And our big goal to reduce our impact to that species and then also to the waterway is just by keeping our construction operations out of the water. And so we're actually planning to build some I would say innovative false work, where we are suspending false work from the bridge itself so that there's no need to construct temporary supports or temporary access in the river. Again, this is all really aimed at reducing our impact. And then maybe one last interesting aspect of the project is related to the equipment that we plan to use for part of the painting operation. So bridge painting requires that we remove that existing coating system that's out there, and that's typically done through like sandblasting. And with a traditional like sand medium to complete that blasting, it's a single use blasting medium, and it essentially ends up in the landfill once the paint removal operation is complete. However, for our project, we're planning to use a steel grit that is recyclable. So you'll see special equipment out on site that can process and clean that steel grit medium and reuse it. So we have far less material going to the landfill from that painting operation. So maybe with that quick overview of some of the things you'll see during construction, I'll turn it over to Chris to talk more about what to expect.
Thanks, Beth. What you'll see on your screen right now is the anticipated traffic control. We're going to need to isolate the work zone so we complete the work safely. the signs you see right now are kind of in a condensed version, just so they're easier to show. But that first advanced warning sign is going to be about 3,500 feet away from the work zone. That should give the public enough time, enough warning to slow down coming into the work zone, and alleviate any concerns of any traffic hazards while we're out there. And as Beth said, right now we anticipate construction starting July 24th. We're right on pace right now to meet that date, but that may change. That may change a day or so as we work up to that. During work, there will be a one-way travel through the work zone at all times. For the most part, Highway 200 will travel freely, and as traffic backs up on 382 on the north side of the bridge, we'll release traffic, and traffic will be stopped on 200 for short periods of time. We anticipate only one closure, as Beth said, for the work. Right now, that is anticipated to be early July or late July, early August. I apologize. And that should only be a 1 weekend closure. For that closure, Beth had mentioned the jacking operations. We need to install some steel members, add some steel members to the existing girders to make it able for us to jack it up to replace those bearings and fix the girders. After the bearings are replaced, we will move into our hydro demolition that she showed. That will be, like I said, 1 lane at a time. We will demo 1 lane. We will pour the new bridge deck. After that's complete, once the bridge deck's cured, we will switch traffic to that side and hydro demo the other side. Once both lanes have a new bridge deck in place, we will replace the barrier on either side of the bridge. That'll be a 1 lane at a time operation as well. And then we'll, along with the barrier rail, there is expansion joint work that'll happen after the deck's in place. Finally, we will mill and repave the roadway once the final deck surface is in place. We'll wait to do that to the end. That'll allow us to tie into the new bridge deck elevation that's being raised by 1 inch for as smooth a transition as we can. And then guardrail will finish off the season. We'd mentioned the 2024 construction season, and that will most likely be paint work and final striping. We had to wait until 2024 to do that because the work in 23 will push us into the late fall, which doesn't make it good environment for painting. And that recycler that Beth had mentioned that's going to recycle the media to remove the paint is required to sit on the bridge deck above the operations. And that obviously can't happen while we're doing other stuff. So that work is going to happen in 2024. And that will finish out this work for us on the bridge. And I think Brandon, I'll send it back over to Brandon.
Thanks, Chris. So as the public involvement, we're in charge of keeping the public informed about the construction and the construction activities, and we have several methods planned to communicate with the public during construction. Some of those methods include direct mail, the news media, social media, radio ads, email, text messages, and then updates to our project website. We'll also encourage people to check out the 511mt.net website and app. It's a great tool for staying up to date on construction projects and road conditions throughout Montana. Along with getting the information out in general about construction, when we're getting close to the the weekend closure date. We'll be getting that information out as well. That we might even be just in the communities canvassing, dropping off flyers to businesses and community centers and stuff to get the word out as quickly as possible. There will also be variable message boards at like the intersection up by Hot Springs and some other locations to provide that advanced warning of the closure and construction activities as well. You can sign up to get a text message if you'd like to text the word PERMA to 866-434-0866 from a smartphone. You can receive text message updates. And if you would like an email update, you can just email me. My email is Brandon, BRANDON, @rbci.net, and we'll sign you up for those email updates. This information is all available on the project's website as well, where you signed up for today's meeting. And with that, we're at the conclusion of our presentation portion. So I'd like to, again, thank you for attending. Keeping the public informed throughout construction is very important to MDT, and that is our role in the project. So we do have a project phone line, and that phone number is 406-545-0800. So this is a good time now. If you have any questions and you want to ask them, if you want to type those into the Q&A box, we can go ahead and respond to those. And if you don't have any questions, you are free to drop off from the presentation. Again, this is being recorded and we will post it on the project website next week as well. So thank you in advance for attending. Tyler, do we have any questions yet?
We do not have any questions at this time. One thing that you neglected to mention is that you can submit questions following this meeting if you can't think of anything that you would like to ask right now. But a question comes up later, you are more than welcome to submit it to us.
And it looks like our attendees have dropped off the call. So this concludes today's meeting.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yep.